Hey guys, Mark Fensel with Richwood Gardens here. I want to welcome you to my very first video. This is where we go from soil to sizzle, helping veterans grow, cook, and live with more confidence. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to grow this fresh garlic so that you no longer have to use this. We call this jarlic or garlic in a jar. Not to say it doesn't have its place, but I think you'll find yourself using more garlic like this after today's video. So garlic it's my favorite plant to grow in my whole garden. And I grow a lot of different things, but it's my favorite to grow because I love to cook. And I think once you use fresh garlic that came from your own garden, you're just going to view every dish you make with it so much differently. It's almost like we're cooking with two different ingredients when you go with fresh garlic versus what you would buy in a grocery store. And it's a fun crop to grow. It's easy. You know, if you notice, there's no leaves on the trees. It's November 17th today. So I like garlic because there's not a lot that needs to be done in the garden this time of year, but this is the time that you should be planting garlic, at least in central Ohio here. We're USDA 6A, 6B right on that border there. So it's not like when you have to plant in spring, you just feel like you're getting behind when the season hasn't even started yet. So we would plant around always after Halloween and up to maybe second, third week of November, really any time in that window where it's cooled down quite a bit, but your ground hasn't frozen yet. And that's really important that you get it in while you can still work the soil. A couple other reasons I like to grow garlic. Number one, you can't buy this in the grocery store. Farmers markets, sure, but you're not going to do that year round. So it's expensive too. Good garlic is expensive when you buy it in stores. It's also a beautiful plant. When I take people on a garden tour, they always ask, what is that? Are those onions? Like, no, it's garlic. They're fun to look at. Another thing, it's easy. It's easy to grow. Nothing eats it as far as pests go. There's very few diseases that we need to be worried about. And let's talk about the difference. So a lot of people know about hardneck versus softneck variety. So hardneck garlic that's what this is here. So if you notice this hard stem here, right, that's the neck. Okay, hardneck garlic is what we grow in a colder climate. And the reason cold hardiness is critical for a garlic that's going to survive around here. Hardneck garlic like this needs what's called a vernalization. So referring to the winter vernal, right? So a vernalization period about 8 to 10 weeks, under 40 degrees Fahrenheit or so. Otherwise, you're not going to get a bulb come springtime. So hardneck garlic is a little different from the other variety, softneck garlic, which we would see in the southern United States, in that this hardneck garlic here, when it grows, it's going to put out a hard, it's called a scape, okay? It's like a stem, and there's a scape at the end. And you'll see for us that comes out in about June, first weeks of June. I remember I would take it to the farmer's market around then. It's usually a couple markets in, and it sends up that scape around that time of year, and you have to pull that scape out, otherwise it turns into a flower at the end, and then the plant can't put that energy down into the bulb. So there's a lot of mystique around growing garlic. People wonder about how much space they need or if they can grow in containers. The answer is yes. We'll get to that. If you take a look though, here's one of my raised beds. I have about, I think, 35 of these, of this size. This is a 4x8 raised bed, and I would highly recommend that if you're growing garlic, grow it in a raised bed. And the reason for that is, just like those of us who wore the uniform, we don't like wet feet, right? Neither does garlic. Garlic, if it's standing in water, it's going to rot. Even soil that just stays on the moisture side, you can kind of wring it out just a little bit. That's not going to work for garlic. You're going to get rot, and then you wasted all that time. Again, garlic, it takes about 8 months or so. So you're going to waste that time when you could have grown something else. So if you take a look at the soil here, this is, I would describe it as just a nice loam. So I follow a practice, what I call feeding the soil, not feeding the plant. Over the years, I've worked in a lot of chicken manure into these beds, composted leaves. We keep a really active compost pile in our house. But this is the kind of soil, if your soil is on the sandier side, that's fine as well. The big thing though is that you have good drainage and that the soil is loose. If you get that, if you have really heavy clay, like our native soil here in Ohio, if you have real heavy clay, you're not going to get the right, your bulbs aren't going to form up like they should. So always be working organic matter into that soil. As far as how the bed is situated here, the more sun, the better. Except in the most extreme climates, it's going to do just fine with full sun. You don't want to put it in full shade though. Garlic does like its sun. When we were talking earlier about hardneck versus softneck garlic, one of the things that I didn't mention that I like about hardneck garlic is the size of the cloves. So on a softneck garlic variety, you don't have that hard center stalk, so you get these smaller cloves that grow in the middle, and it's harder to use in the kitchen, and everybody likes that big, especially for roasting garlic. You like that nice big clove, so you don't end up with the small ones with the hardneck variety. But I wanted to show you when you're looking through your seed garlic. Okay, again, this is just garlic that I've held back from years, and I have a lot more that we still need to use. But you want to pick the cloves that are the largest. Look at the difference here. This is the same. I think this is from the same bulb actually, but look at the size of this guy versus the size of this one. Okay, you want to plant these big ones. This is going to result in a much larger plant. Okay, if you come across garlic that looks like this, I don't know what happened to this one. I had it out in the garage, but probably too humid. But don't plant garlic that looks like that. That thing right there, that's not going to grow. It already started to rot. So I can use some of this. If it looks borderline, again, the garlic takes a long time. It's in the ground for 8 months. You don't want to waste that time and then not get anything back in return. So all right, so now you've decided which garlic you want to grow. It's time to prep our bed. This is one of my favorite tools here. I've had this for probably 20 years. This is called an action hoe. I wrote an article. Go to richwoodgardens.com and find out why I love the action hoe. But this is a great way to work a bed that has been previously tilled. It just needs to loosen up a little bit. Look how easy this is to get in on the angles like this. Look at that. I can do this whole bed. Really works your forearms too, but I can scuff up this whole bed here. This is about a 4x6. Maybe, what'd that take? Maybe 30 seconds, right? To do the whole thing. And again, this soil is not compacted because I have worked in so much organic matter, okay? Spacing wise here for this hardneck garlic, spacing wise, I'm going to plant it about 6 inches apart. For depth, in a colder climate like this, 2 inches, maybe 3 inches. If you're in a warmer climate, you plant it deeper. So between the rows, what I like to do here with the action hoe, it's just such a versatile tool here. I can draw out my lines. This is what, about 3 feet of workable space. I'm going to draw out the lines where I'm going to plant. And what I like, this leaves a little furrow here to where it's easy to fill in that trough with soil when it's time to cover everything up. Okay. So again, I'm going about 2 inches on this garlic here. I'm going to make one more row. The garlic really doesn't come out from the beds all that much, so you can go fairly close to the edge. But I'm going to go about 12 inches from plant to plant. All right. When you have your seed garlic, if you get it from a high quality seed supplier, you're not going to have to worry about quality. Hopefully you shouldn't. But we're going to break this apart like this, okay? With music variety, about 6 different cloves. One reason I really like this one here, see that pink blush that you get on the cloves like that. So yeah, there's about 6 of them in here. Okay. A lot of people will ask me, I say, Mark, which side do you plant up? Okay, pointy side up. You plant the pointy side up, the side with the roots, that's what you want going down into soil. Okay, if you flip it around like that, it's going to grow over on itself like that, and you're not going to get the proper bulb formation. So about 2 inches, just like that. And I recommend it's about 6. Notice I'm leaving as much of this papery husk there on as I can. Don't worry if some of it falls out, but that'll help protect the clove. Go about 6 inches like that. Oh, we got 2 of them there. Try not to do that, otherwise you'll get 2 big bulbs right next to one another, and neither will get to the size that they should be. Okay. By the way, I haven't mentioned yet, but each of these individual cloves, that will produce into a whole new bulb. So with this music variety, from this, I'll get, from this one clove here, I'm going to get a bulb that has 6 more of these guys. So you're only paying for that seed garlic once. So this is buy once and have garlic for the rest of your life if you hold back a little bit of the garlic from year to year. All right, so we would keep going like that, and then we're going to just cover up our rows, gently tamp down the soil. You don't want to compress it. We're going to cover these up here. Again, lightly tamp. These are about 2 inches in the ground. Again, don't compress the soil, and you're not going to worry about animals digging this up. Again, one of the great things about garlic is that it's pungent, and animals don't like it. They're not going to try to eat it, even when it's even when it's full grown. All right, there we go. We're about to say bye to these cloves here until well, be pulling those scapes in early June, and then harvesting our mature heads in July, and I'll make sure I check back in with you guys before then. All right, now we want to put something on our garlic to help just stabilize the temperatures. We get those warm, well, relatively warm winter days. It's Ohio, everything's possible here, but we don't want big temperature swings in the soil temperature. Remember, your soil temp is going to be different from your air temperature. So we put some insulation on top, and that will help even out those soil temperatures. I've always liked to use straw. One of the great things about straw, that lighter color is going to reflect heat, so they don't heat up on those abnormally warm winter days. And it just, it's a roller coaster of temperature. That's not good for your plants. So straw is great. You go with on the heavier side, about 3 inches or so. Don't worry, in the spring your garlic is going to push right through that straw. It's one of the warning signs that the garden is coming to life in spring. When you go out and you start to see perfectly little spaced green shoots coming up, means your garlic survived the winter, and you better have your other stuff ready to go pretty soon, because it's about to be go time. So straw, yeah, there we go. Straw works really well. I have used leaves in the past. I feel like the leaves tend to blow away a little bit easier, but leaves are, free. Drive around neighborhoods with a truck and get plenty of free organic material. Either one works fine, though. I found that the straw locks in against itself a little better and won't blow away in some of these crazy winds that we get here. I would recommend either method that you use, though. Water it down a little bit, not so much that the plants get the water, the bulbs, but that the water just helps everything stay down a little better. So there you have it. I mean, that's how you plant garlic. If you are doing it in a container, you're going to follow the same recommendations for spacing. Garlic likes its space. It doesn't like to compete with other other garlic plants or with weeds. So do the same spacing, about that same depth. And with containers, keep in mind that garlic does fine in them, but it can dry out a lot faster, even over the winter when you might not think. So that we've talked about how to orient our beds, or again, if we're growing in containers, which can be done, you just need to make sure that it has proper drainage and that you don't let it dry out. But we want to keep those beds or the containers in the sun. And we talked about what type of soil garlic thrives in. Let's talk about where do we get our garlic to plant. So a lot of people might think, oh, do we buy garlic seeds? Well, no, you buy a bulb of garlic, and then we'll break this apart into cloves, and you plant the individual cloves. You might be thinking, oh, I know where I can find my seed garlic. I'll go to the grocery store and buy those little 3-packs of garlic. That's probably not going to work out the way that you think it would. First of all, that's softneck garlic, and we already talked about how that wouldn't be a good choice for you in colder regions. And then more importantly is that the suppliers, they spray an anti-sprouting agent. So I would recommend the first thing you do when you're looking for a source, get onto Google, see who's growing it in your area. There's a lot of local gardeners that are glad to sell you some, or I bought mine here in Central Ohio from a place out in Yellow Springs, and it's called Mad River Garlic Growers. Bought a few varieties from them. And the great thing about buying locally is that you're going to get varieties that do well in your locale. They send it to you at the proper time. So I think mine arrived about mid-September, and then we'd plant first couple weeks of November or so. You can also order it. Mail order companies, that's not a bad choice there as well. Research what varieties you might want to grow. This is my favorite. I think this is if you're able to grow a hardneck variety garlic. This one here, this is called Music, and it was brought over from Italy by a Canadian garlic farmer. I believe his name was Al Music, and as I said, Canada. So this does really well in colder climates. It does fine, here in 6A, 6B as well. But what I like about this variety, it's the greatest all-purpose culinary garlic that I've found. It's by far the most popular one in all the farmers markets around here. This actually is pretty spicy when it's raw, but then it mellows out quite a bit once you cook it. And you'll get about, on average, about 6 pretty large cloves out of this. Super easy to peel. By the way, I'm going to drop a cooking tip for you here, since we grow and cook with confidence here at Richwood Gardens. So there's some different strategies out there, but what I do, I take, when I have a clove of garlic, I'll throw that in the microwave for about 8 seconds, okay, and that generates just enough steam for that papery skin to just pop off the garlic. From there, you just cut off the little end where the root was, and you use your garlic. So it doesn't get easier than that. There's people do it with a chef's knife. They hit it and split it like that. That one's always worked well for me. But this Music variety is just real easy to peel, definitely give this one a try. I've also in the past, I've grown German white. That's a hardneck, a porcelain variety, similar flavor to music, I would say. That would be worth checking out. And then there's also ones like a Russian red garlic. And you just need to see what's available in your area, because there are hundreds of varieties of garlic. We need to wrap this video up here. We're losing the sun. There's a really beautiful sunset here over the pond with the chickens. But all right, so the next time we see this garlic, we're going to see some little green shoots popping up through the straw. Depends on the weather, possibly late March, early April. And that's the point where I'm going to do our first round of fertilizing. So a typical fertilizer, a 10-10-10. So that would refer to the ratio of your macronutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So those have equal parts. It's a great all-purpose fertilizer. You can also go the really natural route. We have the chickens here, so we do composted chicken manure. You could do cow manure, as long as, you know, if it's aged, that's good. Worm casting is a good choice. Blood meal and bone meal, excellent for garlic. Garlic they're heavy feeders. Okay, they almost can't get enough nutrients. You don't want too much nitrogen, but blood meal is a great choice. That's going to increase your nitrogen. So for the green part of the plant, bone meal, very high in phosphorus, and that will help promote the bulb development. So I'll do the first round there when I see green shoots in the spring, and then another about 1 month before I anticipate harvesting these bulbs, which for me would be about the second week of July, again depending on the weather. But you want to I make sure I hit with that second round, because you can, if you pull up your garlic in, let's say here around here, let's say you pull some up right around when you're pulling those scapes in the first week of June. And by the way, you can use garlic at that point. It's called green garlic, and you'd use it kind of like a green. It has a strong garlic flavor, but it's almost like a garlic leek or a garlic onion, and people do use that in cooking. So you can certainly harvest some of it early. But if you pull up, you don't see much of a bulb there, and you might panic, be like, is everything okay with my garlic? And that's because garlic puts a lot of its bulb size on in that last month of growth. So you want to make sure that it has plenty of food to make it that home stretch. So I hope you learned something today. By the way, I have a resource for you. If you go over to richwoodgardens.com and type in garlic varieties into the search bar, you can see some of the types that I think you should check out. But also let me know down in the comments if there's a variety that you grow. Let me know where you are too, right? Because we talked about the whole softneck, hardneck thing. And let me know if there's a variety that you think I should look into. But thank you for checking out the video. There will be many more to come. As always, do the work. Always help out fellow veterans any chance you get. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.